Hey guys, JJ here, and today I want to discuss the recent Resident Evil leaks / rumors and just kind of give some of my thoughts. Now I just want to clarify before we get into this is all rumors. None of this is confirmed true, and Capcom still hasn't officially announced that they're working on Resident Evil 8. So take this with a huge grain of salt, and regardless if it's true or not true, I think it raises a really interesting discussion. With that being said guys, let's get right into it. Today we're getting our information from our friends over at Biohazard Declassified. They're the ones who made the article talking about the leaks, and I went through and reported on it on the Residents of Evil. If you guys would like to check that video out, I'll leave a link down below in the description. So what they got here is the rundown. Ethan will be returning as a playable character. Now this is a little unfortunate to me because personally I wasn't a big fan of Ethan. Now I understand what they were trying to do with him. They were trying to give him as least personality as possible so the player could put themselves in his shoes and experience the horror in first person. I understand that. But Resident Evil has always been known for having these characters that become very iconic, very memorable. They have a lot of personality. You kind of learn to love them or hate them, but they all have personalities, and Ethan didn't. I wasn't a fan of that. I mean, his story did sort of wrap up in Resident Evil 7. I get that they can also add to that, so I get it. They're going to be using Ethan now for 7, 8, and possibly 9. He's going to be like the new character, so hopefully they give him some personality this go around. Resident Evil 8 was tested last year. Now this isn't too big of a deal. I mean, if it was tested last year, then that's probably why we're getting these leaks today. It will not be called Resident Evil 8, but it'll have a clever title. That's weird, because aside from Resident Evil 3 and Resident Evil Code Veronica, legal reasons, Capcom has always stuck to numbered entries in the main series. So that they're going to be giving it a clever title. I'm very interested to see what that's going to be. The game will be in first person like Resident Evil 7. Now this isn't too big of a deal to me. I was a little worried going into Resident Evil 7 how I was going to feel about it, but it did limit what you could see around the corner. You felt like you were in the character's shoes, which was a really cool experience in horror, but I feel like Capcom sort of perfected the formula with the Resident Evil 2 remake and the upcoming Resident Evil 3 remake, and I was kind of hoping that would be what they went with going forward. Now if I had it my way, I would go back to fixed camera angles, but we all know that's not going to happen. I mean, Until Dawn did it and did it really well, but I'm not upset that it's going to be in first person. I just would have preferred the style of Resident Evil 2 remake. Next one is gameplay starts in a village leading up to a castle. This is really interesting to me because I really loved the environment in Resident Evil 4. They had a village and you went to a castle. I think that's really cool to actually kind of go back and visit that and see that scenery now in the RE engine. It's going to look gorgeous. I'm pretty excited for that. Next up, we have the environment will be rural, snowy, and mountainous, possibly Europe. This is awesome. I love snowy environments in horror games. That's why we're going with a snowy environment in our survival horror game, Vigil. If you haven't checked that out, I'll leave a link down below in the description as well. But yeah, I think that having it in a mountainous area that's very rural, small village, a castle, it's really cool, and it kind of is something a little new for the series. I know they did snow in Resident Evil 6, but I think it'll be cool to have a game based in that. The cold, the dark, the rural, all good elements for horror. Regular zombies will be appearing instead of the molded from Resident Evil 7. This is really interesting. I thought they were going to continue with the molded enemies. I didn't mind the molded, but I felt that they lacked in variety and they were all kind of the same looking. When I first ran into the molded in Resident Evil 7, it was terrifying. But after you get through some of the game, you're just kind of like, okay, it's the same enemy over and over. I think it'll be really cool to see zombies, having them up close in your face in first person. I think that could really be a very tense experience. I'm pretty excited for that. There is a persistent shadowy female enemy that will follow you, but will dissipate if shot. This kind of rubs me the wrong way a little bit. I'm not a big fan of ghost characters in Resident Evil. They never really did too much of it before. I know they had some in Resident Evil Revelations too, but unless it's explained properly, I'm a little hesitant on that. But if they do explain it properly, or hell, if they visit the same idea they had with Resident Evil 3.5, for those of you that don't know, it was the early version of Resident Evil 4. It was scrapped completely, and then we got the Resident Evil 4 we know today. But there was going to be this like smoke that had like hallucinogens in it, and it would sort of take over Leon, and he would start to see these ghost-like characters. And so that would be explaining it properly. If they did something like that, I would be pretty cool with it. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what that's all about. There are also wolf-like creatures that will attack the player in certain areas. Now this one, in the video I said wolf-like creatures, does that mean we're getting werewolves? It doesn't necessarily mean we're getting werewolves. The wolf-like creatures, you gotta think we're going to a mountainous, snowy area. Wolves are all over in those parts, and I think that having that enemy would be really awesome, especially if it was something mutated, sort of like a hunter. I don't think it's gonna be exactly a werewolf, but I think it'll be like a wolf enemy, and I think that actually is a pretty cool idea. And wolves aren't something new to the series. I think that could definitely work. I could definitely see that in Resident Evil 8. It's not too far-fetched. I'm actually pretty cool with that idea. And then last up, Chris Redfield will also be returning in some capacity. This makes me pretty excited. I know know some people really want to see Chris and Jill return. Some people don't want to see Chris at all, and they want Resident Evil to focus more on new characters. I personally think that his story hasn't concluded yet. They brought him back, so now they have to sort of give him some closure. If we play as him, if we don't play as him, that's fine. I just want them to really treat his character right. I want them to give a real explanation on why he's working for Blue Umbrella, because I still don't buy that they're the good guys. It would be cool if maybe he was infiltrating and he had to earn their trust so that he could expose them or bring them down. I think that would be a really interesting take on it, and somehow him and Ethan have to work together to do this. I think by having him come back, it really opens the door to a lot of possibilities with this character, and hell, maybe even he could bring Jill in because he's in over his head, and we could actually see them together once again, and maybe get some closure for these characters. I don't like how they just keep stringing them along and they just drag it out. So I'm pretty happy to hear that. But that's about it. Overall, these leaks don't really have me that worried. Actually, they have me more excited. And the fact for that is Rule Village in the mountains, snowy, castle, wolf-like creatures. It sounds very gothic and dark to me. It's like a direction I wasn't expecting. And that's what I like. I like to be surprised. And if this was Capcom 5 to 10 years ago, I would actually be pretty worried about this news. But since Capcom came back with their soft reboot with Resident Evil 7, they proved themselves with the Resident Evil 2 remake. They're going to prove themselves again with the Resident Evil 3 remake. And I'm not a Devil May Cry fan, but all my friends that do play it say it was really good. So I trust the new Capcom's vision. I trust them a lot more than I would have, like I said, if it was 5 to 10 years ago. So I have a lot more confidence in them, and I really think that they could pull this off. It's a really interesting concept. Regardless, true or not, it's a fun discussion, but I'm not terribly worried about what I see here. This all looks very interesting, and if anything, it's got me more excited. So that's what I think on it, guys, but I'm curious to know what you guys think. What do you think about Chris coming back? What do you think about Ethan coming back? What do you think about first person? Do you like the environment? What do you think about the shadowy female character that dissipates when you shoot her? And what do you think of the wolf-like creatures? Yeah, let me know down in the comments and let's discuss it. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one.